What's up, guys? I'm going to be talking about video games. Imagine that. I've been posting a lot of non-video game related stuff. I realized that, so I figured I'd throw the guys a bone that are just here for the video games. One of my favorite things to collect for right now is the Game Boy. I love Game Boy games. I don't know what it is. I just love them. I typically don't really play them on the Game Boy. I typically play them on my Super Game Boy on the Nintendo or Super Nintendo, but I like collecting them. They're still cheap. There's a lot of weird titles, and yeah, it's just fun to collect for me. For a cartridge-based format, it's still pretty cheap. So I figured we'd talk about some Game Boy games that I've picked up recently, including one of them being my most, well, yeah, probably one of my most wanted games. It was on my top 10 most wanted games list, and it was pretty high up. So, spoiler, if I ever end up doing a part 2 of that, I have, the one that was at number 1 in this little collection update here. But I guess we'll just get right into this. Start with kind of a funny story here. Yeah, more talking. How fun. I went into a pawn shop, really fucking sketchy pawn shop. Like, they really didn't even have much inventory, and there was like this super Italian kid working with like fake tan and like really big muscles and shit. And when I walked in, he's like, "Hey, how can I help you? How can I help you?" I forget what the fuck he called me, boss. He's like, "How can I help you, boss?" And I was like, "Do you guys have any video games?" He's like, "Video games? Like, what do you mean, like PlayStation 3?" I was like, yeah, whatever, just video games." He's like, Nah, we don't got none of that stuff here, man. We got gold, boss. We got the iPhone 6. We got all that type of stuff, boss. But not video games." And I was like, all right. Well, I was looking around, and I see some original Game Boys, the fat Game Boys, and I go, "You got some Game Boys?" And he goes, "What the fuck you say?" And I was like, "You have some Game Boys?" He's like, "You a fucking faggot or something?" I was like, "What?" And then I started getting upset. I was like, "What the fuck did you say to me?" And he's like, "You a fucking queer?" And I was like, "I said you have some Game Boys." He's like, "The fuck are you talking about?" And I like lifted up the Game Boys, and he's like, "Oh yeah, damn, yeah, we got those." And I was like, "What the fuck did you think I said?" He's like, I guess he thought that I said that, like, you got some Game Boy or something, which maybe is a fucking way to hit on people in some fucking world. I don't fucking know, but he, like, must have been all the fucking steroids going to his head or something, because he flew off the handle. He went from 0 to 1,000 in, like, a fucking second, But regardless, I picked up the fucking Game Boys, and both of them had games in it, so I was like, what are the fucking chances they're both Tetris? So I took one game out. Yup, fucking Tetris. And then I took the other game out, and it was Contra Super C. And I held it up, and, after, like, he realized I wasn't trying to fucking hit on him, and he cooled down, I was like, what do you want for this game? He's like, "Oh, that?" He's like, "You can just take that, boss. I'm sorry." And I was like, sweet. So I got Contra Super C, so that was pretty dope. Weird fucking scenario, you know what I mean? I thought the dude was gonna like jump over the fucking counter and strangle me with his fucking muscles. He had like really like big poofy lips too. It was fucking weird, man. It was a weird situation. The rest of these games I don't really have interesting stories for, so we'll just kind of breeze through them. I don't know what order to do them in because they're all pretty fucking sweet. I got some Natsume titles. First, Amazing Penguin. This game is actually a lot of fun. I was a little bit disappointed when I realized it wasn't developed by Natsume. At least I don't believe it was developed by Natsume. I think it was actually just published by Natsume. But regardless, plays really well, has good music, good graphics, and fucking awesome label art. So Amazing Penguin on the Game Boy, a cheap fun game there. Another really cheap Game Boy game, this was actually developed by Natsume, is Spanky's Quest, which is one of the rarer games on the Game Boy, or more uncommon games, but it's still cheap, so that's pretty cool. This game is a lot of fun. but I played Spanky's Quest on the Super Nintendo prior to playing this, and while this game is good, it is really, really good on the Super Nintendo. So I would say if you're interested in this, I would go for the Super Nintendo version over this. But if you've already played that and love it and you want to try, some more Spanky's Quest, the Game Boy version is fun as well. Another really uncommon Game Boy game is Fish Dude. What a fucking weird game this is. I totally expected this game to suck, like 100%, and in some ways it does kind of suck. Like, the game isn't fair, like the hitboxes like aren't fair, and some aspects about it do suck, but it is strangely addictive. I don't even know what you classify this game. It's not really a puzzle game. It's just kind of like you just survive as a fish and, avoid things that can kill you and eat things that, you can kill. Really fun. I think it's a fun game. It's not a great game, but it is addictive and fun, and it has, I don't know, kind of like the worst, best music at the same time. So, cool game, regardless. Happy to have it for sure. It was one that was pretty high up on my Game Boy list. The only Game Boy Color game I have to show, I actually got this game complete off Amazon. They had a bunch of brand new sealed ones on Amazon for cheaper than what you could get just the game for on eBay. So I was like, well, obviously I'll just get the fucking sealed complete one on Amazon. It showed up, the box was totally fucking mangled. It's behind me on the shelf, so I'm not going to show the box. Probably should have, but whatever. But the manual is in good shape, but it's one of the old, like the Game Boy Color games where it didn't have an insert. It kind of had like a spot, like an extra fold-out piece of cardboard in there, so it makes like flattening it and fixing the case kind of difficult. But I tried my best to repair the box, but it's fucked up. But regardless, the game plays fine, and the game's actually pretty fun. And that is Wendy Every Which Way here, which, obviously is a kids game or marketed for kids, but it is a fantastic game. The gameplay is similar to Metal Storm, where it has the anti-gravity gimmick. There's even some shooter levels. Really, really good game. And if you play it on the Game Boy Advance, there's extra levels that aren't like on it if you just play it on a Game Boy Color. Really, really good. If you are into games by this developer, which I'm like having a fucking huge brain fart right now. WayForward, there we go. Definitely check this out if you're a WayForward fan, and it's way cheaper than Shantae on the Game Boy Color. So, yeah, really, really happy to get that. And in case you were interested, those new sealed copies of this on Amazon, sold out really fucking fast, and the reason I know that is because I was hoping to return my damaged copy for a new copy, or for another copy, but they were already gone. Let's see. Guess we'll show this one next. This is the newest one to me. Just found this today. Really, really cool game. Sunsoft game here. Blaster Master Boy. Doesn't play anything like I expected it to. Kind of reminds me more of like Bomberman or something. Really fun. Definitely had no idea anything about this game. I've never heard anybody talk about this game. I've never seen any videos about it. Just ran across it. It was, I would say, dramatically underpriced at a retro store. It was about a third of what it sells for on eBay. So I decided to pick it up. What got my attention was that I've never seen this game, so I was like, well, let me look that up on YouTube. Didn't really see much about it on YouTube, couldn't find any reviews. Looked it up on eBay, saw that it was kind of a pricey game, decided to grab it. Turns out it is quite a bit of fun, so really pleasant surprise there. So, sometimes you'll have that, sometimes you buy a game blind and it fucking sucks. This game right here is probably one of the best deals I've ever gotten on eBay, and that is a Taito game called Knight's Quest. Got this game for about a quarter of what it typically sells for in an auction. It was just me and one other person bidding, and they gave up pretty early, so got this game for under, I think it was under $15, just under $15, and that was fucking awesome. So really, really happy with that. The game is really cool. It's an RPG, has some side-scrolling elements to it, really nice graphics. Definitely happy with this. Haven't put a ton of time into it. I just kind of, made sure it worked, messed around in the menus, played a little bit, but looking forward to going ahead and playing through this game because it actually looks like a very competent handheld RPG, especially for the Game Boy. Definitely excited about this one, and again, I never hear anybody talk about this. I think Bubs is the only person that I even know that knows of this game's existence. So if you know anything about this game or you've played this game, let me know what you think, because from what I can tell, it looks very, very promising. Really happy to grab that. And next is another game I did get complete, and I did grab the box just because I absolutely love this game's box art. So I'll show that in just a minute. This is kind of a grail for me. Not a very expensive game at all, but very hard to find in the box as far as what I can tell, because I've been looking for it for a while. Haven't had much luck. And that is The Punisher. The actual game cart here is like new, and the manual is in great shape. The box was a little bit beat up, but the seller on eBay had this listed at $50, or best offer. Sent him a very low ball offer, just over half of what he had it listed for, and I said for the conditions, free shipping, and he took it. So I was thrilled with that. Really happy with that. And the reason I lowballed was thinking that he would shoot back a $5 or $10 more than, like I thought we'd have a little back and forth. I didn't expect him to just take the offer, so that was kind of sweet. But here is the box. Always loved this box art. Really sexy. So now the only Punisher game that I need for my Punisher collection is the NES game. But again, I'm holding out for that to be CIB, but I don't feel like paying like freaking $100 is like what people are asking for on eBay, so I'm going to hold out, see if I can find a better deal. And then I'll have all the Punisher games boxed, which is really cool, because Punisher's, my favorite comic book character of all time. Always has been since I was a kid, so really happy to have this. Just love this box art. I think Jim Lee did this, to be honest. Not positive, though, so don't quote me on that, but it looks really good. And last, but certainly not least, one of my most wanted games of all time. Super happy to have this. I don't even know if I've shown this game, and that is Kid Dracula here on the Game Boy. Got this for almost too good of a deal, in my opinion. I was a little nervous. In fact, so nervous that the first thing I did was open this thing up to make sure it was legit, and sure enough, it is legit. And then I had some concerns about the label being authentic because it is peeling slightly on the corners, but got out the old magnifying glass and everything, and from what I can tell, it's definitely 100% authentic. The only thing is that these damn corners, you can kind of tell, are just slightly peeling up. Need to figure out a way to get those back down without damaging the label. If anybody has any ideas, by all means, let me know, because the cartridge slots on most of my devices that play Game Boy games are really tight, and just that tiny little bit can lead to a nightmare of damage by catching on its way down. So that kind of sucks. Though I've already played this game through, beaten the game. It's pretty tough. It took me a bunch of tries, but it's fucking awesome. Definitely one of the craziest Castlevania games ever made. Has a ton of nods to the Castlevania series. A lot of tongue-in-cheek humor. Plays really well. Kind of almost plays a little bit like a Mega Man game in some ways. But I mean, it's definitely still a Castlevania game. But fantastic. I would say this is probably my, I don't know, they change all the time, but probably either my in my top 3 Game Boy games for certain, hands down. Definitely one of the few games that I can say is most definitely worth its going rate. And I do think the price on this is kind of going down a little bit, in my opinion. I've seen some sell for pretty reasonable cost. It's just hard to find a good mint condition copy, so that's what I was definitely holding out for. But like I said, really bummed about those corners. The seller didn't mention it. You couldn't see it in the picture, so that kind of sucked. But you know, I can live with it. You know, maybe one day I'll upgrade it to a perfect copy, but highly unlikely. Anyway, awesome game. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out. Emulate it. Do whatever you gotta do. It's worth playing. And that would be my Game Boy collection update, as far as I can tell. If I have already shown any of these games, I apologize. I make so many videos that I never upload that I really can't be certain. So, yeah. I don't mean to be redundant if I am being redundant. It's totally accidental. But that is it. Have a blessed day. I love you. Go outside. Give your neighbor a hug. You know, do the right thing. Piles of cocaine never hurt. And, yeah. That's it for me.